welcome back. Today we're going to spend a few words, maybe recapping 11.11, talking about some upcoming reviews I'm going to do. So let's jump back to 11.11. And if you remember my video, I said there was a couple IMs I want to buy, and there was a bunch of cables I want to buy. And then there was a comment on, I think, an old video that said, "Hey, did you notice that the Ear Studio ES100 has a new version?" I said, "Nope, tell me more." And so here it is. So this is the Ear Studio ES100 Mark II. And as far as I can tell, it hasn't really changed a whole lot. They fixed some button issues. There's a new color. I haven't really gone too deep into it, but I have a couple Amazon gift certificates. So I'll probably pick this up between now and the holidays. So that sort of changed what I wanted to buy on 11.11, because I was going to buy a bunch of 3.5 cables. This is actually a 3.5 unbalanced and then 2.5 balanced. So I thought, well, I'll just get some 2.5 balanced because I have none. So that kind of changed my outlook on what I was going to end up buying on 11.11. And so I did buy a couple 3.5s, but I did buy, I think, a set of a cheaper 2.5s just to have them in anticipation of picking up this in a month or so. So that was one. Second, I talked about this VJJB N30, which I was going to buy. And then I realized after I bought it that I had actually bought it a month before. I bought it back in October and totally forgot about it. So I canceled that. And then miraculously it shows up, I don't know, a couple days after 11.11. So this is what I've actually been listening to for a little bit. This is the VJJB N30. Very cool looking alien shell, very janky, non-replaceable, thin silver cable. It's all kinky and it's not really my favorite. It actually does have some ear hooks in here, which are kind of loose, but the whole thing is it's just kind of too tightly wound and not my favorite cable at all. So it looks like it's replaceable, but it's some kind of proprietary socket there. But very cool. So I think my one-liner on these guys would be kind of similar to the Senford DT6, where it's sort of sub-bass focused, bass focused, but it doesn't have that wacky tuning that the DT6 has. So, so instead of being more electronic focused, this actually I'm kind of drawn to more acoustic things on this set, which is kind of weird, but it's just kind of the way it all worked out. So it's sort of the complement to DT6 right now for me. While they changed the tuning so it does more instruments in a more natural fashion, it loses some of the fun of the DT6. So that's kind of the trade-off right now in my mind. But that's sort of what's on my phone right now. And this is kind of a quick once over of the box. It's a pretty cool box. It's pretty huge for an earphone. Line change N30. Not sure what that means. 2 moving rings of moving iron, in case you can't read that. First one that comes with a book, which is cool. I don't really have any others that come with a book. Can't read any of that, but cool book. And it comes with a nice assortment of tips. So that's the VJJB N30. Pretty cool. I like it. Been listening to it for a few days. I'll do a review on that soon. So the other thing I think I mentioned was that I had a TRN BA5 on the way. And if you haven't noticed, the TRN BA5 is this brand new, kind of off the production line TRN that not too many people really have so far. So I actually just got mine, and I haven't actually listened to it at all. It's kind of still sitting in the box. So this is what it looks like. It's not really looking like the V90 at all, shell-wise anyway. So the thing about this is BA5, so there's 5 balanced armatures per side, and it's vented, as opposed to the V90, which is not. It's a tad, I'm going to say it's a tad bigger than the V90, I think. Let's see if we can put them side by side. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. Shell-wise, it's a tad bigger. Depth-wise, definitely bigger. So the first initial, there aren't that many reviews. I saw one review, I think the ZPOLT guy said it's the best TRN ever. Kind of your usual first reviews of anything. Best ever, does everything amazing. So second thing, I think the first guy I actually saw who on HeadFi who actually had this in his hands was a guy from the UK. And he said it was sort of reminiscent of the Blonde. So he got it, listened to it, and said, yeah, it sounds like a balanced armature. It's a little weak on the bass, but precision-wise and detail-wise, it's, you know, it's way up there. Super nice. And then he changed the tips to memory foam. He's like, oh, now this is a totally different beast. It's actually kind of a bass monster. There's a ton of bass there if you get the foam tips. So that was his words. There's really not a whole lot of stuff out there. So this one was shipped to me from the Yin Audio store on Amazon, and they don't even have a listing yet, so I'll have to sort all that out. But yeah, it's kind of essentially right out of the factory, and not too much reviews on it at the moment, but I'm going to get to it this week and go over that. So second, another thing from 1111 I talked about was the upgrade cables. So this is actually my ZSX. And this was like the $14 Yin cable that I've had in my ZSX for a while. I bought this one a while back. And I said, oh, I want to go buy, because the $30 cables on AliExpress on 1111 were about half price. I was going to pick some up. So this is actually, I think, probably the $30 version of that guy. And very similar, except that the connectors are super heavy duty. I mean, these are aluminum-ish, and these are like steel-ish. They're quite heavy. Cable-wise, I'm not sure there's a difference other than the blue is a much darker blue-green as opposed to a lighter blue. But so the Yin Audio store sent this along because the BA5 is now QDC. So the old TRN V90, I think, was a 2-pin. May have been the proprietary squared off one, but now, so your normal KZ pins, KZ cables, I mean, with QDC, should actually fit this guy pretty well. I can't really see what I'm doing, but we'll assume that fits in. Yep. So, cool. So, if you get the BA5, you have some old QDC cables, you can now use those. So, that's about all that's new for today. So, thank you for tuning in, and we'll get to some of these things this week, and I will see you next time.